Hello everyone, this is Rachel in the Potting Shed, taking a look at the Maria Thus Biodynamic Calendar for July 2022. And this month I'd like to tie in with Hans's post in the Biodynamic Gardening Club Facebook page because he's written a whole section on the moon rhythms. So what I thought I would do is contextualise what he's written with this video. So you can see it linked into the planting calendar. So when I come to the calendar, the first rhythm that I always look at is the new moon, full moon. So this is under solar and lunar events here. This white circle represents the full moon, and over the page this black circle represents the new moon. Now the first moon rhythm that Hans has written about is the waxing and waning moon, also called the synodic moon. Now, what I look at when I come to the calendar is sowing my seeds in the week or so before the full moon. This always seems to give fairly consistent germination. And if we look here, I could be sowing things like my broccoli, purple sprouting, specifically on a flower day, because that actually comes under flower, because it's the flowering tips, the flowering stems that we're looking for. In this leaf area here, I would be looking at sowing things like my continued lettuce sowings, my winter greens, chard, spring cabbage. Here we'd be looking at fruit sowings, maybe some late peas and French beans. I always try my luck. The harvest isn't always brilliant, but I think it's worth a go. And also up here in your flower days, you could be sowing biennials, wallflowers and things like that. Now Hans also mentions a rhythm which was popularised by someone called Llewellyn, whereby he sowed in the first quarter leaf crops, the second quarter legumes and flowers, third quarter roots, and fourth quarter fruit, vegetables and flowers. I've never done that, but this is all about you experimenting with rhythms and finding what works for you, so maybe give it a go. So the next rhythm that I tend to look at in the calendar is the ascending and descending moon, which is the northern transplanting time here and the southern transplanting time here. So the northern transplanting time is connected to the descending moon as the moon descends in the sky, and this for us in the northern hemisphere is a time when we do all things to do with the soil and the earth. So this is a time to be putting on soil treatments, applying compost making, hoeing our vegetables, and transplanting and planting our plants into the earth. So it's all about this rooting, earthing quality. And another thing that's really beneficial to do is to apply your preparation 500, your horn manure, because that is all about the beneficial microorganisms in the soil and stimulating the earthy qualities in the soil. So with preparation 500 horn manure preparation, you stir it in the afternoon and around 3 o'clock or after, and you stir it for an hour and you spray it on your soil. So opposite to that is the southern transplanting time. So here in the northern hemisphere we work with the upper parts of the plant in southern transplanting time, harvesting perhaps, and applying horn silica, preparation 501. And you apply horn silica to specifically at this time of the year fruiting crops and things coming into fruition. So my tomatoes are just setting, cucumbers, courgettes, and you spray this in the morning. And if it's hot, you must make sure you do it very early. So because you're spraying a silica and water combination onto the leaves, the upper parts of your plant. So what you don't want is for the sun to burn the plant. So you do that in the early morning when the sun's rays are not so strong. I also plan to be harvesting my nettle for seed here. Nettle seed is incredibly beneficial if you dry it and put it on salads and cereals, anything like that. It's a great immuno support and adrenal support. Now, this ascending descending moon rhythm links to Hans's second rhythm in his article. So the third rhythm that Hans mentions, and one that we're going to look at now, is the sidereal rhythm of the moon moving through the 12 constellations, the zodiac constellations in the sky. Now, Maria Thun's research over the last 60 years has shown that there are beneficial forces that can be used to influence different parts of the plant growth. So, let's have a look here. This is Gemini. So, Gemini is an air sign, and Maria Thun's research showed that if we work with plants that are flowering and we want to harvest the flowers of, there will be a beneficial impact on working when the moon is in front of an air sign. So similarly, if we look here at Pisces, which is a water sign, it's influencing the leaf parts of the plant. So if we work with our leaf plants on a leaf day, we are stimulating them to be, to put it simply, more leafy. So we are working with beneficial impulses and cosmic forces to really strengthen that plant to be as much a lettuce or as much a cabbage as it can be. So that's what these colourful bits mean, and each of these sections links to a different constellation that the moon passes through in its 27.5-day rhythm through the constellations. So when I come back to looking at sowing the seeds, that is why on a leaf day I would think about sowing my leaf seeds. That's quite a simple explanation. I explained it a little bit in more detail in one of my previous videos, but there's also a lot of information in the front of this book. So do have a look through. Now, the fourth rhythm that Hans mentions is the rhythm of perigee and apogee. So perigee is when the moon is closest to the earth, and that's shown here with this PG symbol. And apogee is when it's furthest away from the earth. Now, I don't know if you remember last month we had the same occurrence as we have here, which is perigee falling at a very, very close to the full moon. Now, what that gives us is the most spectacular vision of the full moon in the night sky. So if you remember in June we had this huge moon towering over the horizon, and that's because the full moon is coinciding with the moon being closest to the earth. Now if you look over here, we've got a big grey box. That means that these watery influences of perigee are really too strong. They really affect plant growth and germination quite strongly. So it's really a time not to be doing any work in the garden. We avoid doing that because there aren't any beneficial influences. So the fifth and final rhythm that Hans talks about is the ecliptic. Now the ecliptic is the sun's path around the earth, and the sun's path is different to the moon's path around the earth. So there are points at which the moon's path crosses the sun's path, and these are called nodes, and they are denoted here and also here. Now there is a collection of symbols at the front of the book where it explains what each of these are. Now these nodes mean that at those crossing points there is a kind of glitch in the energy that's coming to the earth. So if you look here, we've got a period. So here it says there's a node at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you look here, we've got a period of about an hour either side of that where it is grey again, which again means that this is not a beneficial time for doing work with your plants in the garden. So we also have the same thing here. We have this blanked out section. So that's what this symbol means. It's the node where the moon is crossing the ecliptic. So another rhythm that I haven't talked about is this one here, which is the moon in opposition to Saturn. Now, this is a very beneficial time to spray your 500. A couple of days before, you would do your preparation 500, your horn manure, in the evening after 3 o'clock, spray it on the soil. And the following morning, around, well, as early as possible, it's lovely to get up at sunrise and do this, and stir your horn silica and spray it on the upper parts of your plant. And what this gives, this moon opposition Saturn, is a really balancing effect, and it can be a wonderful time to do this stir and spray because it's a monthly rhythm. Now, stirring can feel like a massive job, to have to sit down for an hour, stir and then spray. It's wonderful when you do it, but if you've got very little time, it can often get pushed to the bottom of the pile. So a monthly rhythm is quite an easy way to build that in. Additionally, if you really want to be getting the preps onto your land, try setting up a stirring group, finding other people that want to be part of it, that want to get biodynamic preparations onto their plots, and stir together. What this can give you is a great little community, support, but also, if you're not always able to be there, others can spray your plot for you. You can do that for other people. So it's a really lovely way to work. So, just before I go, don't forget to be checking for signs of blight on your tomatoes and your potatoes. It's been very strange weather here with bits of warm, lots of rain, a bit more warmth, a little bit cold. So you can really work with this and take 501, the horn silica, and equisetum, and a couple of days before the full moon, you can spray your potatoes and your tomatoes, the plant and the soil, with this. And what the equisetum does is it takes the organisms that cause blight down into the earth where it belongs. So taking it away from the plant, using this silica, this light quality, and taking it downwards into the earth. So I hope that helps. There's another tip from Hans, actually, before I go. He did a brilliant article on potatoes about a year ago in the Biodynamic Gardening Club Facebook site, and he suggests for really healthy tuber growth to be taking your flowers off your potato plants every few days. So I haven't tried that, but I'm going to try it this year. All right, happy gardening. Bye-bye.